is Alex again. This is February's video. I guess we're doing the first Saturday of every month. So today's video, we're going to talk about goals. My most recent blog post was talking about the difference between goals-focused and values-focused living. So I wanted to make a video more designated to goals in particular. So there's multiple ways to view as well as set goals, like whether you prefer to have one large goal versus break that goal down into 30 smaller pieces or anything in between. So I'm going to be talking about 3 methods, the last of which I actually use. So if you're struggling to figure out a way to achieve your goals, if you like any of the stuff that I talk about, great. Feel free to use whatever combination of the above you want. And if you use something different, I'd love to hear about it, so make sure to comment down below. So the first method of goals is called SMART goals. This method was, I think, originally designed for the corporate world, but adapted to other fields as well. It's been mentioned even in my clinical counseling psychology grad school courses. So, SMART, acronym: S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevant, and T for time-bound. So I'm going to use the example of the GRE because it's, for lack of a better word, relevant. So let's say that I am applying for PhD programs. They require the GRE. Not only do they require you to take the GRE, they require you to do freaking awesome at it. So I'm going to have the specific goal of doing well on it. That could probably be more specific, like a specific number. Let's see, I think it's out of 170. Sure. Let's say I want a 170 because perfect score. Why settle for anything less than perfect? That's another conversation. We'll save that for later. Anyway, for the purposes of this example, 170. I want the perfect score on the GRE. That is as specific as you can possibly get. How do we measure that? Well, it's a test, so practice probably would be good. So I can do practice sets and grade those. I can do full-length practice tests and then grade those, measure how close I am to that score, and then ultimately, when I take the actual GRE, how close am I to that? Do I need to take it again, or am I good? Achievable. Well, yeah, it's achievable for some people, even if not a perfect score, to at least get close to it. That was not the case for me, but it's possible. Relevant. It's required for PhD programs. So, or at least the funded ones. Then for time-bound, there are 2 options here. The way that I see it, you have the option of having the mindset of, okay, so I'm applying for this application season, so I need the score before the application deadlines. But I'm not going to register for that test date until I feel like I'm ready to register for it. So I will take the time to practice, and then I will register for the test when I feel ready enough to register for the test, being mindful of course, the deadlines and the other components of the applications. The other option is to forget the deadline, just register for the test, then you have that specific amount of time to prepare for the test, and you take it and hopefully be ready for it. Yeah, I tried both options. Neither worked. Actually, with the GRE, nothing worked out. Anyway, so yeah, that is the SMART goal method. It may be too technical though, depending on the goal or the context. If the goal is too big or too small, I feel like the SMART goals method won't work as well. That being said, another option would be to break those large goals into smaller bite-sized pieces. For example, if the goal is becoming a machine learning engineer or becoming any sort of whatever career you want, you don't typically just wake up one morning and achieve it that same day. There's work and steps that go into that. And maybe that's discouraging, but let's break that goal down into smaller goals that we can achieve and work towards that larger goal. So step 1 would be, what is required? write those things down, and that is the first small goal. Are there school degrees involved? Are there self-learning courses you can take? Is networking helpful? Sometimes it is not just what you know, it is who you know. Actually, sometimes it doesn't even matter what you know, it is legit just who you know. Or interviewing, etc. So what or who do you need to know? What are the steps to get to that goal? Write those down, because then you're going to work towards it and cross things off as you go along, because it's just satisfying to do so. So once you've had that list of things that go into that ultimate goal, you rank them in order of what needs to happen first, and then you just work your way up. There are elements of the SMART goals method in here, but it's not necessarily as rigid in a way. Like, we're breaking the large general goal into smaller specific and achievable goals that are relevant to the overarching general goal. But sometimes the time-bound aspect adds more anxiety and stress and ends up hindering the goal-achieving process due to, again, the anxiety and stress, as well as knocking down that self-esteem. So kind of another reason why I like the smaller goals is that you get to celebrate yourself, let's say, 10 to 30 times rather than just the one. There are very few times in our life that we really get to celebrate ourselves. Why limit ourselves? Now, of course, you should have a bigger celebration when you do achieve that general, larger overarching goal, but don't take the smaller wins for granted. And also, sometimes those smaller goals or smaller wins lead to other goals and opportunities. So like I talked about in that most recent blog post, linked below in the video description box, it's good to be flexible, and sometimes not reaching your initial goals can lead to opportunities that make you much happier. So, after quite a bit of trial and error myself, I did finally figure out what works for me, and I'll break down my method, but of course, like I said, there are multiple methods, and what works for me might not work for you. If those don't work for you and something else does, like I said earlier, I would love to hear, so please comment down below. Another idea is just a list. Make a to-do list that you can satisfyingly cross things off as you go along. I personally find that the to-do list works best for me. So I have a planner, and I've actually been using it. Growing up, I would do this thing where I would get the super cute, fun planners. I would have a purse that was big enough to specifically put that planner in it and carry it around with me, and then it stays there. That's it. Not helpful. Yeah, so I think honestly the reason that I've been able to pull off doing all the things that I'm doing, like school, work, research, even more work and more research, and still being able to pretty much stop working at 6 p.m. each day and have a weekend, that I think I can thank my planner for. So here is how I have been using it. Planner. Ta-da! So this guy I like because it's got two sides to it. So on this side, we just have the day by day, and then here's just like a general, I turned it into its own to-do list. So for the day by day, I will literally just say, okay, this is my plan for this day. And then I cross things off as I go along. So here I have like the general, I'll literally write down for each class the entire semester's worth of work. So 3 of my classes have weekly discussion questions, so I'll cross those off as I go through those. If there's papers or projects, I will still write them down even though I haven't started them and they're not due anytime soon. But they're there just so that they're on my radar. But then on the specific weekday, if I plan to do the week 2 and 3 DQs in the same day, that goes there. If I have a research task to do, that goes in these guys. Something that I will say, I tend to overshoot. So I might make I plan to do these things on this day more ambitious. But there are times where I do actually pull off being able to finish everything. But I purposely overshoot it so that if for whatever reason I'm not able to complete something, I just shift it to the next day. but by having it on the to-do list, and I try to accomplish as much as I can, because I have the mindset of the more I do now, the less I have to do later. So if you make something available, I'm gonna want to do it so that I don't have to think about it. Anyway, that being said, remember to comment down below with your views on goals and how you work to achieve them. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next video.